talk about all of this and more with Congresswoman Jackie Speier. She's a Democrat on the Intelligence and Armed Services Committee. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you, Wolf.
So as you know, many Republicans, they're waiting for President Trump to address the allegations against Roy.
Roy Moore should not be a U.S. Senator. There's no question about it.
If Roy Moore refuses to drop out of the race, actually goes on to win on December 12th, what response would you hope to see from Senate Republicans?
I think Senate Republicans would probably expel him from the Senate. And that's what they should do.
Right away?
Yes.
All right, let's get to another sensitive issue. Yesterday, we heard a sickening story of a U.S. congressman who had a female staffer come to his house where he exposed himself. He's one of two members of Congress, one Republican, one Democrat, who are still serving despite harassment allegations. You've made some of these charges. Why didn't you name these two alleged harassers in your hearing yesterday?
The reason, Wolf, is because we are trying to change the system so it's there to protect the victims. The victims in this case do not want the individuals named. One of them is actually under a do not disclose, and as a result, she would not be in a position to talk about it in any case. So I am not about to talk about it. If there are, victims in these offices, then they should come to me, and I will take them by the hand and walk them to the office of compliance and make sure they get the services and the protection they need.
But basically, all we know right now is the allegation you delivered and the allegation Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, a Republican from Virginia, delivered. Is that right?
Well, we do know that there are many other cases historically. These are two that are current, and that is, something that will be addressed in this legislation. So moving forward, the member would be identified, and the member would be required to pay back the U.S. Treasury for any settlement.
If taxpayer money was spent to settle with the victims in these two particular cases, shouldn't taxpayers know?
60 cases, there's been $15 million of taxpayer funds that have gone into settlements.
But shouldn't women applying to work in the offices of these two sitting congressmen be aware of these settlements?
Well, they should be aware, but under the contractual relationship that exists with a particular agreement, where you are not allowed to be able to speak about it, those victims would be victimized again because whatever the settlement was could be taken away from them.
But are you concerned there could be more victims down the road?
Well, that's why I'm saying if there is any concern, those staff members should come to me and I will make sure that they are protected.
You just clarified the $15 million paid out by the Office of Compliance up on Capitol Hill from 1997 to 2016. Didn't all go for sexual harassment victims. Some of the money covered all types of other discrimination claims. Are you committed, though, to figuring out exactly how much of that $15 million taxpayer money was paid out as a result of sexual? Should they be in that position?
Have to do is change the culture of this office of the Capitol, and the only way we can change it is by education and training of both members and staff, and make mandatory training and education a component. That's something that will happen now as a part of a legislation I had introduced, and also the Speaker of the House has now required that. So we'll move forward with the intent of making it more transparent, making the process more victim-centered, and create an environment where people can work without being fear of having to operate in a hostile work environment.
Considering the waves of allegations we've seen in other industries, do you think these two sitting members of Congress who are accused of sexual harassment are just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, I will tell you that I've been stopped in the hallways of the Capitol over the last few days from women who have just thanked me and have told me other stories. Some of these members have since left Congress, but some of these stories are really harrowing. And it's an environment, unfortunately, that has allowed it to fester, and the system has been one that has been complicit in it, frankly, because there was no way that the harasser would be identified, the money wouldn't be picked up by the harasser, and the victim was really had to jump through many hoops in order to get some justice.
Congresswoman Speier, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
Just ahead, can anyone persuade Roy Moore to quit the U.S. Senate?